Okay, so I'm gonna run through the extra credit lab, right? Hold on a second. Let's make sure we have caption. Okay, so for this one, we're gonna use Kali. I extracted Kali, but make sure we're gonna give it more core.
Instead, my computer only have a core. If we put a core, is it good or not?
No, then you need 4 core for your host. So just put 4. It's just gonna be slow. It's fine. Yeah, it's at the end it's gonna crash because you shouldn't be running virtual machine with AI agents, but I wanted to show you how you can run it so that way you can run it on a Linux machine or something like that, but it works. Yeah. Yeah, so keep 4 core for your host and then 4 core for the VM is good. Okay, so we're gonna load this one. I'm gonna change mine on this one. I'm gonna give it 8,000 or you can even go more. And we're gonna run 8 core. But at least 4 is okay. I'm also gonna add my USB. So USB 2. And I think on the new virtual box, they update this so it no longer recognize your USB name for the generic. Before it used to be UDIS general, but now it's just gonna push it as 2.0. So I'm just gonna add my USB so I can add in the pictures that I reface. Okay, let's start it. So for this one, once you have your virtual machine running, you're gonna log in. Um, and then run the updates, but we are gonna use virtual environment inside. So you're gonna run Python virtual environment. It's important that you do that. Otherwise, you're gonna run into package problem. Did you pip install?
Yeah,
Okay.
I had a pip install one more module and now it's giving me even more Reddit. Looks like it's booting up.
Here, let's change the view to 150. Okay. So I'm gonna log into Kali. Oh, did I type it wrong? Yeah. We're gonna open up terminal. And then we're gonna let's close the browser for now. So sudo apt update and sudo apt upgrade. Okay. So this part of the lab, you are going to set up an app to create deepfake, right? Which is the part B. And it talks about what deepfake is in the later part. So we need to run the update and upgrade. So I'm gonna select yes here. I should have just put a -y. Then you want to have a folder or a directory to store your project, and inside it you're gonna run Python virtual environment so you can add the packages that you need for the model, the tools, right? So this one is gonna deframe or it's gonna frame your picture into the video. And then we are gonna also run other, right, like other libraries and packages to be able to get, and then your AI agents is Ngrok.
Is this old version or new version? You just upload
For what? The
this. Yeah, this document.
I just uploaded I only made a few changes, which is 19. You have to run the app. So after you install the AI agents, I forgot to put down this step. I don't know, maybe I was sleepy when I wrote it. And then once you run the app, you can do it after this step or you can do it before. So at 19 and 20, you need to run the app. And then you will be able to see it hosted at your local system. So as you are gonna run it, and you drop the pictures in there, you're gonna see that it's gonna slow down your machine tremendously, right? Like I put here that technically you shouldn't be running it with the virtual machine with limited RAM and processor. So it might crash. So it crashed mine a couple of times. So in that case, you can take a screenshot that it's processing your swap, and then you can move on to just deframing your data set. Okay. So while it's working, I'm going to come back here. I gotta make sure that I downloaded archive.zip. Is that here? Yeah, it's here. I want to make sure that, I can put that on my USB. So I'm gonna check my USB right now. So I mounted the USB inside my virtual machine. Right, I have some pictures that I wanted to use for swapping. So I'm going to unmount this right now. And I'm going to copy the data set for the second part here. So for my pen test plus class, they only did the later parts. I only wrote that for the other class, but I added this for your class, the part B. And then another area, so I modified an additional step here. And then I forgot to put this command. So if you don't have the frames directory, when you run some of the command, it's gonna throw some kind of error. So just gotta make sure that you have the directory, because the path is that it's putting it into the frames directory. So if you don't have the frames directory, it might throw a traceback error in Python, because FFmpeg is written in Python. So okay, I'm gonna just pause the video. Okay, and we just push updates. Oops. Coming back here. We're gonna make one folder, Deepfaker, and then access it. So we want to make a project folder called Deepfaker. And then we're going to move into that. So we're in the path there. Then we're going to create a virtual environment called Deepfaker for Python. And Python 3 is installed on Kali. So when you create a Python virtual environment, you just need to use Python 3-m and then v and v. VENV, and then the name of your virtual environment. Then what we're going to do is we're going to activate it. So this is the practice is for you to test Python script in a virtual environment. Oops. Let's be
Part C, are we still operating in the virtual environment or do we want to be out of that?
Thank you. You can run it there. You can exit out of that. Yeah, exit out of that. When I wrote it, I didn't have the virtual environment for that.
Terminal. Yeah, it gave me an error, so I'm assuming the system just wasn't, because of the shared resources, it wasn't gonna run.
It seems like it doesn't want to activate my hmm. That's crazy. It did not it did not create my virtual environment for Python. Interesting. Okay, so we create the virtual environment. Just make sure I had it mistyped right here. I had the V before the N, so that's why it didn't work. There you go. So now you can ls it, and you see it in the path right here. So I'll highlight that. This is what I fix. VENV. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna drop some files into, actually, no, let's follow the path. So make sure if you're doing the virtual environment, make sure you fix VENV, virtual environment, not VEVN. I had it swap. I had a typo. And then I did a git pull for So once you activate that, we're going to clone Refacer inside the virtual environment. Oh, what's this? Oh, where did this happen? Okay. Copy. Oh, it already created it. So I had cloned it already. Refacer in here. And then once we clone that, we're gonna move into the app directory. So cd refacer. Okay. And this is the app that's gonna be for the refacer. This is gonna be the actual app that we're gonna be running later, but we have to install the requirements. So now we're gonna move into the refacer, which is what is here. And then I'm gonna transfer my USB files. So this one, I'm gonna copy all of these and then put it into the refacer directory.
So we need to use more two picture.
Yeah, you can just use one picture and one video. But the video has to have a person with the face. So basically, it's going to take your photo or the picture photo and it's gonna lay it over the video face, right? So if you let's say that you took a picture of a video from a movie, like an MP4, it's gonna lay your picture over the video. That's the frame by frame, right? That's the Refacer app. That's what it's gonna do. Okay, so we have transferred our file. So we're gonna need the InSwapper. This is the model file, and it's gonna work with your AI agents to be able to overlay your face picture into the video to make the deep fake. So you need this model file. And then you're going to need all of these libraries and apps in order for it to work, right? We're going to use FFmpeg later. You will likely need to install it on the outside, but we need to run it with we need the package for this particular thing to work. So one line at a time. Make sure that you're in the virtual environment, not the home directory. So we're gonna install FFmpeg, and you can run it as a package or the app itself. To be fail proof, I just have you install both just in case it's not able to load. So this is gonna take your video into frames. And then we need to install the Python package for it, which it's written in Python. So because the app that you're going to be running, it's going to import in the module from this app to unframe. And then we need Gradio, which is going to allow us to use the model as well. And Gradio use with Onnx. Okay. And it's going to pull pandas, some data tools. Okay, so Gragio downloaded. And you don't need a specific version. I think in the past you have to have a matching per version, but I found out that it simply worked with the current version. And then we need additional packages from Insight Phase, along with NumPy and Onnx runtime. So all of these tools are designed to work with your model, which generated from LLM. Okay, so I just install Onnx, and then I need to install Onnx runtime. Then now we're gonna install OpenCV, Python. So a lot of AI agents uses OpenCV, and if you write scripts, right? If you use Python tool, then you need to install OpenCV for Python and also the headless. These are like separate libraries. Think of it that way. And then we're going to install scikit image. So scikit and pandas and numpy are typically used with data sets with AI-based model. Okay. And then we're going to install TQDM. Now you can run a requirements text file and do it from there. When I troubleshoot this, I have to do one at a time, so it's easier for me to track. But typically you can do a requirement.txt and then have it read the requirement.txt, do a cat command with the pip install. Now we're going to install the AI agent, which we're going to use Ngrok. Okay. If you look at their documentation, there's several ways to be able to get it to work, right? So you can do a pip install. This is the Python package, the module that you need for the code to import into the code. But in order to actually use the agents, you probably have to go through and run this along with setting up your keys. So that took me a little bit to kind of fix the issues. Okay, so now once you have all your packages for Python, right, we are going to run the app. Cross our fingers.
I have an error in this step.
Oh yeah, okay. So it's saying refacer.py, the module import psutil, no mod. So you just need to install psutil, right? Easy way, we can just do install psutil. So do a pip install psutil. 3. So I'll add that as part of this step before we run. Yeah, sometimes there are packages that are missing. We have to kind of add. That's why it's nice to be in the Python virtual environment. You can always pull packages instead of having to do git pull or, some kind of lookup and how you can install it. Okay, so let's try to run it again. Oh, look at that. It's working. Yeah, so the only thing that we're missing, and I will repost this, is make sure that you install PSUtil after you install Ngrok or throughout, anytime, right? It doesn't have to be in sequence. We just need to make sure that it has this module because the app is going to look for this module. Yeah, this was not included in their documentation either. And I've used Refacer and I've looked around in other areas too, so to troubleshoot that. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you that once the app load and once you put your picture and video in there, it will crash because technically we shouldn't be running virtual machine with this, right? You should use a regular computer, maybe with Linux platform and GPU and CPU. It works really well that way. Like if you use a Raspberry Pi 4 or a 5 to be able to generate this, that will be cool. But just to get everybody to be able to have access to Linux, so it won't complete your photo overlay for the deepfake, but at least you know how to set it up to run it on a Linux machine. Okay, so now it's running. I'm going to open up the browser, which is Firefox, and did that work, Bradley?
Yeah, I'm on Parks. Yeah, I had to create friends directory because it kept giving me
Right.
open the output.
Yeah, if you have used the thing in the past, like the old lab instruction, I didn't have that step, but yes, you're supposed to do that. Did it host it? Hold on. It's saying, yeah, so it's supposed to open. Just takes a second for it to go, but the app is working. Yeah, there it is. Locally hosted. Okay, so now the fun begins, right? You're gonna put a video in here and you're gonna put a picture in here. That's all you need technically. But if you have multiple faces in your video and you want to overlay that, you put multiple pictures. Like I said, right? We have 8 gig of RAM running an OS with AI agents along with the app, so it's going to slow down. So I'm just gonna drop my video in here real quick. I had it saved under Deepfaker Refacer. So I have a video that I got from Vietnam. And then it's quite big of a video. And then I'm going to put my picture that I have taken. Okay. And then once you have the picture, you click reface and you wait. And it's supposed to work. So it's pulling the frame one piece at a time. As you can see that my video is kind of big. So if you use like a 10-second video, right? Like record yourself talking or you record someone talking and then overlay your face onto that video. You can also clip a video from, the internet if they allow you to. So yeah, at some point it's gonna throw an error, a reface error because let me see the thread on this. Yeah, it's I looked into this, okay, and it's a processor issue because it's doing concurrency. So it's not able to look at the multiple CPU because I'm in a virtual machine, right? So it's throwing an error there. But you get the idea that because we're simulating the core inside the virtual machine here. You see?
So this error is because we not enough CPU.
Yeah, because it's running asynchronous right here, right? So it's taking the thread and it's dividing it up to multiple CPU, the core, as you can say, right? In our virtual machine, technically, we're allocating the core from the host machine, right? Um, but even though it doesn't see it because it's software talking to software, it's not seeing it um on the VirtualBox end. So it's giving you the attribute error that's not able to determine it's not able to get the parameter for the processor because the way it looks at it is it's still a single processor. Um, but like I said, right, if this app is run on a Raspberry Pi 4 or 5 or something, it should be able to work. But yeah, at least the app works. All right. So we're gonna do Control C for it to exit out of that path. And then you can run it in the virtual environment, but for the next part, right, I want to show you how you can deframe a video. And I had posted on your lab. This is the data set that you can use. This is it's deepfake data set. So basically, someone created a bunch of fake videos. And you can see this on social media too, that AI generated videos. So I had put it on my USB and mounted it to the. So I'm gonna exit out of. I think it's just deactivate, right? So if you want to get out of your virtual environment, you can just say deactivate, and it's going to take you from the Python virtual environment, right? And then I'm going to come back to the home directory or to Deepfaker. So in this part C, it can be used separately from our part B. So I'm going to install FFmpeg again in my regular, not virtual environment, but my home directory. And basically, this is a tool to be able to unframe each frame on the video when the deepfake video. And that's how you're going to be able to analyze. Most of the AI agents that is used for deepfake analysis use FFmpeg in the back or some kind of unframing source code in the back. And this is written in Python. You can check out their Git repository. Okay. I have my USB mounted, so I'm going to open up my USB. I'm going to copy my archive.zip, which I have downloaded from my lab page. And it tells me to put it into a Reface directory. So you can just make a directory and put it in there, right? So in here, I'm going to go back to the root or to Kali home directory, and I'm going to do a make reface, right? So make directory reface, and inside this, I'm going to put in my archive.zip. So if you make a reface directory, that simply is the command mkdir, right? Reface, and then you're going to move into reface. Now you can do you have to mount the USB with the command, but I just use the graphical user interface to do that, right? So what I did was I had my USB mounted here. I open it up. I found the archive.zip that I have downloaded. I copy it. I go to the Kali directory, right? And then go to Reface folder that I had made and then paste it there. And then once I do that, I'm going to go ahead and do CD reface. And I'm going to do an unzip command, archive.zip. It's going to inflate the files within it. So it's going to make a deepfake folder with videos and images, or mostly videos, I'm sorry, videos of it. So when you extract it or decompress it, it's going to create a folder called deepfake. And inside it, not deepfaker, deepfake in the reface. And inside it will be the video. So now we are going to go into that folder. So CD deepfake, which is different than the deepfaker, right, that we made in the last one. And I always ls to kind of see. So this is the videos that we're going to work with. So we're going to take one of the video and we're going to unframe it. So in the next step, we should make a directory called frames because you're going to run into a problem running that command. So for 29, we're going to do an mkdir frames with an S. So once that's done, we're going to use the tool that we have downloaded and installed to unframe the video 1.mp4, right? As you can see, 1.mp4 is one of the video that is in that data set. Now, if it throws an error when you run the command for step 30, it's because, or 29, whatever, right? If you run this command and if it throws an error, then it's because you're missing the frames directory, right? Because we want to put it here. Now you can remove this and not make the directory, or you can make a directory and add this or keep it the same. Now when you unframe it, this is like the percentage here plays an important area in how you want to unframe it. So it tells you all the information about, the encoder, the video attributes itself as it unframe it. So it took it apart to 162 frames. And it tells you, let me see about that CD frames. I'm sorry, 200 frames ultimately. So we want to screenshot the video information here. So FFMG and MPEG is really good for deepfake analysis. It's like if you're doing forensic investigation on it, it's a tool for you to be able to pull the video and then took it out into frames. So this is the size per or kilobyte per second, and then it did 20 frame per second. And then it gives you the encoding information here. And then the duration, you can also find that information when you read through. Okay, so we unframed that one video into 200 individual frames. Like these are static frames. And then what we're going to do is we are going to, so I'm already in frames, right? As I ran this right here. And then I'm going to install a tool so we can view each frame, which is called EOG. Now, once I have that tool, I would be able to preview the image for each of the frame. And you can select any of the frame. Like again, if we LS, right, we have this many frames. So you can start with the first one and moving on to each one, or you can start with the later one. So what we're going to do is we are going to view the first frame by using the tool EOG. So it's going to preview the first frame, right? And you can do that for each one or click the arrow to move forward. So as you can see, it might look exactly the same, but you know, depending on the video, right? The important key is to look at the shadow at the edge of the face. Possibly if there's like offset in the eyes, if it's not even.
To me, those eyes just look dead.
Right.
It doesn't look like it's an act. It looks like two really classy ping pong balls.
Right.
Painted to be eyes.
Yeah, so it's the iris is black and there's a slight offset on the eye as well. You can also see the chin shadow is kind of like drawn in, kind of, right? So you can see that it's definitely AI generated.
Yes. Got it sure just along the buttons, how dark that extra shadow is. It's like they put it there to try and make it look more like he's in bad lighting.
Like right here too. Yeah, so you can see some edges that looks like it's drawn in or it's artificial, hence artificial intelligence generated, right? So you can look at the frame and see. Now, you know, there are some people who are expert in this area, right? Like they can tell you specifically whether even really good images too. So these are the things that you're going to look for. And then we can also look at the 30th frame or the 35th.
Background? Yeah. In this case, because they're using a pretty plain background, it's hard to see indications of like warping or unusual setup in that background. You have to look at him.
But sometimes you can also see like on the plane of the line in the back.
Now I'm seeing it on that one.
Yeah, so if you look at the later frame, you can see that it's offset, right? Like it, you know, from like if you glance at it real quick, you might not pick it up, but if you examine it closer and also around the edges of the ear, right? There's like a halo around the edges of the ear. So you can see that. And you know, basically you can take this apart with many videos like this.
I was gonna say the shadow above him that looks like it's supposed to be like a window or a shelf.
Yeah.
That also looks a little bit off and
like drawn in.
A little bit. I mean, the edge where it's supposed to be a cut corner, that's got you can see the halo.
Yeah. So some of the things that you want to look for, I put down here too. Sometime if you actually look through like shiny objects and artifacts, it's gonna look funny. Okay. Now we're gonna put it into Deepware.
Submitted the extra credit, and I
All right.
should have at least one attempt of the of the practice exam before the end of the week. I'm also prepping for the stats final, which stats have been making me want to bang my head against the wall.
Well, good luck and thank you, and I'll see you later, hopefully. Okay.
I am realizing more and more that places are asking for references and letters of recommendation.
Just email me.
I will email you.
Tell me when you need it, so that way I prepare, not the day of or the next day. I'm sure you're prepared like that, but yeah, I'm just saying. All right. Have a good summer.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so we're gonna use Deepware AI. We're almost done, right? To detect, and this is free. So what you can do is you can upload. You can also put in a URL, like if it's hosted somewhere else. We're gonna upload the video to it. So I have it under Reface, right? Deepfake, and then we can just select, I think it tells you to select the first video. You can also try with the other video as well. And then have it scan. And it should come back and tell you the percentage or whether it's detecting deepfake. Yeah, so this is a website that you can use for any, right? It doesn't have to be for our exercise only. So you can use scanner.deepware.ai. Right now it's free. So we will see how if they're gonna charge for subscription or something in the future. But so in the back, and I've looked into building out some scanner like this, it's the process is you kind of like similar to what we've done, but and then have it hosted as a web app. So there are a lot of resources and tools similar to Deepware. Okay. So we can see, right? Now we're going to write a script with OpenCV. And this is fun because you can just make a Python script. So we're going to close this. And preview. So when you close the picture, it's going to come back to here. We're going to go back to the previous, which is the deepfake directory. We're going to open up a file, a new file that's blank. And then we're going to add the Python script. So you don't have to use an IDE. You can just use Nano, which is text editor, to write your Python script. So when you do an import CV here, you need to install. This is why we're going to install this library instead the next step. So it's for this import statement. It's going to try to look for this module, and this module is going to allow it to pull the method and be able to use that method. Basically, video captures a function that's going to pull this video, and it's going to loop through and unframe each frame on the video. But unlike the other app, you cannot preview these frames. I think what it is when you're writing a script, it doesn't let you, maybe the pixel or the structure of the frame is not completely, it's still raw, so you don't have the capability to view it with EOG. If you view it, it won't preview it for you, but we can unframe it with the script. So I simply just copy and paste this.
So we have to react each up file for every script.
Say it again.
So we have to react script for each up.
No, you don't have to write each file. You can just do one. Yeah. So we already used the one MP4, so I'm gonna do 2 MP4. And this is earlier, remember how we talked about the number in FFMG, right? This number up here, right? This represent the percentage on how it unframe. And in your script, you can control, right, the frame count, the percentage for the frame count. And so it's going to take each of the frame and it's going to check for the condition. And if it's there, it's going to write the new file name, like frame 1, frame 2, frame 3. And then it's going to release the video because it accessed the video here. So we want to release the file. And then we want to show the status that it completes. So once you have that, make sure you have all the proper indentation, Control X, yes, and enter. Then we're gonna install our module, otherwise you're gonna run into error. Yes. Now, since we're doing it outside of the virtual environment, this particular module, you have to do sudo apt install, right? If a module only works with pip command, you have to use a virtual environment for Python. That's best. But because this module is written, so you can do just Python 3 and then the library that you need. Okay, so once we have that, then we can just execute the app that we wrote. And then this also is a tool that you typically use in forensic, but we're almost done. Okay, so we already have the library now. Now we're gonna make sure that Zoom sometimes goes away from me. All right. All right, so we are going to run the script that we wrote in Python. And Python is very simple. I like it, but it's very versatile and often used in deep learning and AI. Oh, did I add an extra thing here? There it is. Okay, so it unframe, right? It save your frame information and frame extraction is done. It ran our script fine. We don't have any issues. Then what we're gonna do is we are going to access it. So we're gonna look at the frames. Oh. We are in Deepfake, so CD frames. Okay. So I think here you just need to go into. But if you want to do Deepfake in front of it, you have to put in the extra slash to give it a direct path. So I just put CD frames. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to examine. So we can look at the frame that we made, right? This is from the first. Let me come back out real quick. Yeah. So the second one that we made, these are the frames. 60, 90, and 30. It's right here. Now if we can try EOG, right? Frame underscore 30.jpg. You will see, there it goes. Yeah, sometimes it works really well, sometimes it doesn't, right? I tested it before and it did not want to, not all of them. So when we close this, then we can see if we can look at frame 90. This is the second video. Okay. So again, right, like we're gonna check for shadows and different things. So yeah, that worked. Sometimes it doesn't pull it to preview too well, depending on the video and the percentage on your frame. But that worked. Okay. Oh,
Cool. Cool.
yeah. Now last tool. I'm going to oops. I think you don't have to do this. You need to go back out to Deepfake, right? Oops. And then, so if you come back to Deepfake from frames, let me check my path again. Were you in Deepfake? Yeah, CD frames here. We came out of it. So you're already in Deepfake though, right? But in the case that you don't need that. But anyway, so as long as we're in Deepfake, we're gonna run EXIFTOOL for the second video. Okay, so this gives you all the attribute for the video. We want to look at the handler, also some description. It's going to give you usually the encoder for these, right? You can look at the encoding system. What else is important? Yeah, so the AI generated video, you typically would have a lot more metadata information. Like if you're looking at codecs and timestamps, sometimes it's very generic. But on this one, it shows file modified here. And then it was access here, and it was change here. And it's possible that we decompress it here, right, today, right? It was created in 2025. But on the AI, sometime it does this. Create date and modify date, it generates a bunch of zero here. You see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then for the track modified date, this is what the assignment is talking about. So you see like the generic, it doesn't put in timestamp information like a typical, if you edit your video on your phone and you check it, it should give you the timestamp. But on the AI generated one, it just put in a generic value here. So that's what you see. And that's all she wrote for now. I didn't have time to play more with it, but I think later on I wanted to make a scanner. Like a scanner like what we've seen there with the Deepware. That will be cool to do. So